Hiya! Welcome! Here we are once again for Minidisc Monday, and this is edition number 67. And today I'm going to look at and review a band who have already featured in this series a couple of times already, and they will feature again in the future, as I do own 5 mini discs altogether by this group. This is their studio album from 1989. Of course, the mini disc came out at least a few years later. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I'm referring to UB40 and their follow-up to their 1983 smash covers album, Labour of Love. This is Labour of Love 2.
Kingston town, the place I long to be. If I had your word, I would give it away just to see the girls I play. When I am king, surely I would need a queen and a palace and everything, yeah. And now I am king, and my queen will come at dawn. She'll be waiting in Kingston town.
So this mini disc doesn't have a release date on the Discogs database, as you would have seen a second ago. Obviously it's going to be at least 1992 when this came out. To me it feels like an early mini disc, this. Not literally feels like one, but just the way the whole package is designed really. So if I had to guess, I would say this would be 92, maybe 93 at the latest. And the only copyright info is the original 1989 Virgin Records copyright on the back. Of course, this was also out on other formats on UB40's own, at the time anyway, label DEP International. So got to number 3, and their second album full of cover versions of some of their favourite songs. Obviously a lot of reggae artists, many of which I'm not particularly familiar with or familiar with at all, but there's some covers of soul stuff on here as well, I've noticed. So before I talk about the album and what I think of it, let's have a look at the package. Nice condition case this, not really any scuffs to speak of or any scratches or cracks. Well, there is some scuffs, but you don't really notice them when the booklet's inside. As for the booklet, it's pretty nice without being overwhelmingly fascinating. We've got track listing there, and also tells you who played what, and also gives you information about some of the different singers within the band on certain tracks here, as Ali Campbell, the general lead singer of UB40, doesn't provide lead vocals on all of these. Bit more production stuff here, then an essay of sorts about Labour of Love 2 from Dr. X. I think he wrote something in the first Labour of Love, some sleeve notes. Of course, I have reviewed Labour of Love by UB40, the original 1983 covers album, so please go back in my MD Monday playlist and check that out if you haven't seen it. And then basically all we've got after that is some paintings really. Booklet's okay. The disc, album artwork, flip it over and round, and we've got the track listing and some sort of logo there, made in Austria, as pretty much all mini discs were. So Labour of Love 2, I've been looking forward to hearing this for a long time. Of course, it's something I've owned for many years, and I would have heard it back when I originally bought it, but that was many years ago. And I have heard Labour of Love 1 more recently, as I'll refer to that. It was reviewed for Minidisc Monday, as was the Best of UB40 Volume 1 as well. They decided to do another collection of cover versions as a studio album, and they would continue to do that to this date really. I'm not entirely sure, but I think there's been at least 5 Labour of Loves that have come out. I've not heard the last couple, at least. As far as Labour of Love 2 is concerned, it opens with track number 1, Here I Am, Come and Take Me, and incorporating small acts. So what that means is it's almost like a medley. Here I Am, Come and Take Me is the bulk of the track, but there is also bits that they've covered of a track called Small Acts within this song itself. There's actually 7 singles released on here, as you would have seen earlier on during the clip, and this was one of them. In fact, there was a couple of European only singles as well, so technically it's 9 singles from a 14-track album. Wow. Here I Am, I think it did quite well in America, but didn't make the top 40 over here. I am familiar with the song, I've always liked it, and it's a good album opener. Track 2, Tears From My Eyes. I enjoyed that, nothing wrong with it. Number 3, Groovin'. Number 4, The Way You Do the Things You Do. Another single. There again, I think that did pretty well in America, but didn't do massively well over here. I think it's a cover of a Temptations song as well, that one. Number 5 is Wear You to the Ball. I've always liked that. I used to have that on, it was a cassette compilation, the best of UB40 Volume 2 many years ago. Unfortunately, that's an album that, although UB40 were releasing some of their work on Minidisc at the time, that's one that never got an MD release, which is a bit of a shame, as I'd like to have had that, particularly as I've got the best of Volume 1. Great stuff, Way to the Ball. Astro, the UB40 Toaster, takes lead vocals there. Really nice kind of throbbing, dubby bass in it. Track number 6 is Singer Man, and I enjoyed that. What is different about that is, and I'm going to have to get the booklet out again, is it's a different member of UB40 other than either of the Campbell brothers or Astro providing the vocals to that, and it was Norman Hassan, who normally does percussion, who was lead vocalist on Singer Man, and he does a good job as well. Track number 7 is probably what I would say is the most well-known UB40 track or UB40 cover on this album, Kingston Town. Yeah, it can sound a bit overproduced and twee, sort of 35 plus years later, but there's something charming about their cover of Kingston Town, and it's very memorable, it's very sing-along really. It's nice to hear that again, it really is. And it was, I think, the highest charting single in the UK from all the ones that came off this album. I always really enjoy Kingston Town. Number 8 is Baby. That was the final single released from this album, all the way in 1991, although technically that was really released to promote a joint compilation that basically lumped Labour of Love's 1 and 2 together. The single didn't do particularly well, I think it even missed the top 75. And it's a little bit weak sauce for me. I think it's another one with a different vocalist. Yeah, Earl Falconer, the bassist, is the one who provides the lead vocals on Baby. And he's got a good voice actually, but I think the song itself is a little bit weak really. Number 9, Wedding Day. Number 10 is Sweet Cherry. I like that. Nothing I've disliked at all on this album. It's just there's very little that's absolutely kind of exciting me and making me think, ooh, this is a classic album. Number 11, Stick By Me. Number 12, Just Another Girl. Number 13, the penultimate track, is I think what was the first single released from Labour of Love 2, and it was another top 10 hit for UB40, Homely Girl. Very vivid memories of Homely Girl. I don't think it's on the level of Kingston Town or even Wear You to the Ball, which were better singles and better album tracks in my opinion, but it's still very good. And ends with track number 4, Impossible Love. Yet another single. As I've said, there's been 7 that were definitely released in the UK, and another couple, and I can't pinpoint them, that were European releases too. Impossible Love's great, nice sort of reggae ballad really, very, very pleasant finish to the album. So that was Labour of Love 2. What do I think of it? I suppose the obvious thing to do would be to compare it to Labour of Love 1 and try and determine which of those I like the best, and I think Labour of Love 1 is stronger. There's less tracks on that, there's 10 on the first volume from 83, whereas there's 14 on this, and yes, there does feel like there is a bit of filler on here. But this is a very pleasant listen, if pleasant doesn't sound a bit sarcastic really. UB40 were certainly by this stage not considered particularly cool. They were kind of accused of whitewashing reggae and the roots of the music that they were into and they were playing really. But I do think that's a little bit unfair to them. They're a big selling act throughout the 80s and 90s certainly. Labour of Love 2, no, it's not as strong as Labour of Love 1, but I think anyone who did enjoy Labour of Love, the original, or indeed any other UB40 album, would find a lot to enjoy about this as well. So for that reason, it is a recommendation from me, and I'm glad that I was able to hear it again today. So that was UB40's Labour of Love 2 on Minidisc, and we will be looking at 2 more UB40 albums in the future here on Minidisc Monday, so please check back with us over the coming months to see which those are. Thank you all for watching today. I want to say special thanks to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, and please, as we're back to a regularly fortnightly schedule now, join me again in 2 weeks' time for the next exciting episode of Minidisc Monday. Cheers everyone. See ya!